Dr. Anthony DeCanto, welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. I saw you at the conference at Hamburg, Pennsylvania. It was a wonderful conference, and it was great that you got me to come up and got enlightened me and woke me up to the fact that my hoarding addiction was caused because of my parents and all that and all the rest of it. And there's a lot, a whole can of worms to go with that. But before we get into anything for me and others, why don't you start off by explaining who you are, what you experienced that caused you to do the stuff you do, and I will put myself on mute. I don't have Alex Jones-itis. Don't interrupt my guests, so you've got the floor.
Okay. Well, first, I want to thank you, Andrew, for having me here. And let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Anthony DeCanto. I'm a chiropractic, clinical nutrition. I have a doctorate in medical humanities. I've been in practice for 43 years, and basically I treated over 100,000 patients. And you don't touch that many people and not become connected on an energetic level. And through my past 43 years, and I'm still do energetic work, I still do nutrition, I realized that I developed a new healing art. And the new healing art was a result of my past 43 years. What basically happened was when I became a chiropractor, I was excited. In 1979, I graduated, and I was excited about being a chiropractor. And I was working on people, and it always bothered me why some patients got better and some patients didn't get better. So what happened was I became a nutritionist back then, working with nutrition. And then also, I learned applied kinesiology, another way. And as I was learning more, I realized there's a lot more I didn't know. So as I went through my early years as a chiropractor, I was very unhappy. I was unhappy because I knew there was more to life. There's more to health than just chiropractic. Now, what happened was, as I was learning more stuff, I was analyzing my patients. And as these patients came in, I realized certain things. Patients always had excuses. They always had some excuse on why. So I go through, I didn't feel good today. I didn't want to go to work. Or, my mother was bothering me, so I had a stomach ache, all this stuff. So I kept analyzing my patients. And I had a defining moment in my life that started my journey. And this defining moment was I had a woman bring in her son. He was 8 years old and he had asthma. And I do my history and all that stuff. And during the history, the mother said something that really was my defining moment. She said that if he can bring on an asthma attack when he wants to, he brings it on. So went through my day. And that night, I remember I was laying in bed. And as I was laying in bed, fell asleep. In the middle of the night, I woke up and I said out loud, I remember it clearly, if he could bring on an asthma attack, why can't he stop it? And that was my beginning journey of the subconscious and the conscious mind, the heart mind connection. And I was searching for years. And then I noticed certain patterns in patients because I've been around for 43 years. I remember certain patterns in patients. And another moment in my life that was fantastic was I had a patient that came to me for nutrition, and he was allergic to cheese. And during our history, and actually during one of the visits, he said something that was unique. He said, I was never allergic to cheese until I found out that my father was. And that was, wow. So that showed me right away that I'm missing something because there's nothing within his physical body that was allergic to cheese. Because the minute he had a new thought that his father was, he became allergic to cheese. And then I realized people have problems with everything. People had overweight problems. They're angry. They have money problems. And I could never understand why one person gets better and another person does not. So I set out on a new journey to learn more. I became a Reiki master. I learned NOT, neuro organization technique, SOT, touch therapy. I learned so many different things. And the more patients I saw, the more I understood this heart-mind connection, this subconscious to conscious connection. Because here's the narrative of it. That person, when you are sick, it's not about the disease, it's about your whole narrative. It's about your life. That's what medical humanities taught me. It's about your life. So what is that connection? And what I realized was when people got better quicker than someone else, they had a different format. Something was going on in them. And what happened with that was, as I was going through this, I realized that I was frustrated. So one night I was praying in bed. I was praying, I'll never forget it, praying in bed. And what I realized was that I said to God, if I had one way to take care of myself, I would dedicate my life to you. And that's basically what happened. That night after that prayer, 6 weeks later, I was ended up in surgery. I have a plate in my neck, 4 screws, never can practice chiropractic again. So for the past 28 years, I've been working on 25 years or so, I've been working on energetics. And while this was all happening, I kept doing trial and error. And I came up with something that was interesting. It was out of curiosity that at 62 years old, I went back to school at Drew University and I got my Doctor of Medical Humanities. And that was the reason I went back, was to justify, to learn what the Big Four process was, which I was developing over years. After school, after I got my doctorate, I created a book, printed a book, The 4 Steps to Better Life. And this explains what I'm going to talk to you about now, the Big Four process. So the Big Four process is a way that we can find out what's blocking us. Now, what I mean by that, but let's go to this right now. Here is a chart. We are a 4-part being. We are a spiritual being. We have a mental image. We produce emotions and we alter matter. So the Big Four process was me understanding that patients, when patients couldn't heal, and not just physically, when they couldn't heal on a emotional level or on their moods, it was something more than just physical sickness, excuse me. So I created a healing art called the Big Four process. Now, the Big Four process consists of 36 cards. And this is the whole purpose. Let me give you a little rundown about the Big Four process. Since we are a 4-part being, and when we say 4-part, we're spiritual, which is the highest form of energy. That spiritual produces a mental image. The mental image will produce an image in your mind. Now, that image in your mind will produce an emotion. The emotion can be anything. But what does the emotion do to the body? It alters the physical body. So this here, when you have all 4 of these connecting, you can have a spontaneous healing. In like books, Medicine Miracles, by Bernie Siegel, he talks about the miracles, how a tumor disappears overnight. And that's what I was noticing in my practice. Some patients were getting better then quicker. And these were patients that were doing nutrition, they were doing therapy, they were going to acupuncture, they were maybe seeing a psychologist. So I knew there was a bigger connection all the way around. And so when I had my light moment about the Big Four process, I knew we had to find a way. I had to find a way to connect all 4 together. So the way that we did it was through the cards. As I created the cards, I'm going to explain what these cards are. You have to understand that we are an energetic being. And when I say energetic being, if I hold this and touch here, the minute I touch it, it lights up. This is because I am electromagnetic field. We are thought. Thought is energy. So when I touch this, it lights up. Now, if we have a block, it could be a mental, emotional, physical block. If I have a block, guess what happens? It doesn't light up anymore. If I remove the block, so what is the next challenge that I had in my life was how do you find the blocks and what are the blocks? And this took years to develop. This is not something that just occurred. I've been doing this for the past 15, 20 years. I just started recently now to create the book because I really, after seeing the miracles in the practice, how you can have a paradigm shift like that when you connect all 4 of these, all 4. When you connect all 4, that's when you have a change. And even when we talk about meditation and stuff like that, which meditation is great, but with meditation, you don't exactly know what you're meditating on. And with the Big Four process, you know exactly what you're meditating on. So let me explain basically what the Big Four process is. It is a way that you can. Now, this here shows, again, you may not be able to see it, just it shows the different aspects of who we are. So let's take mental. So you have a mental, what does mental mean? Well, the mental, there are seven energy centers. They call them chakras. My mental cards will determine what part of your subconscious is blocking you. And the way it works is like this. Say you have a question, you're overweight. And everyone says, well, I'm overweight because I eat too much. That's not necessarily true. That's your conscious mind saying that, but that's not truth. The truth is your subconscious. Your subconscious is 95% who you are. This is your dreams. You can think about everything, and that's dreams. Your subconscious is your truth. And your subconscious is developed from birth to 7 years old. That's when your subconscious picks up all this energy, all this environment stuff from parents and environment, friends, uncles, relatives, everything. So the mental is the chakras. I call them energy centers, and there's seven of them. So if you have a mental block, and what's a mental block? A mental block would be something like someone says, I am useless. I'm worthless. I'll never make money. Well, that's a mental block. Well, what we want to find out is where did that mental block come from? So when we do the process, the Big Four process, you pick out the mental card. Now when you do the process, you're looking at the backs of them because we want your subconscious to pick them out, not your conscious mind, because you may think something not true, but the subconscious is your truth. That's your gut feeling. So with the Big Four process, we have the mental cards. So that's one, again, going back, we're a four-part being, so we have the mental. So say I'll use the example. I had a woman that came into the office and she wanted to know why she couldn't make money. So we went through the process and she had picked out the mental card of I feel. This is what she had picked out. So she picked out I feel. Now we're going to get to the emotional part because I'm going to show the example and talk at the same time about it. So the second aspect of who we are is emotion. So emotion is done with, well, what are emotions? We have 10 emotion cards because every emotion that you have, if you're angry, well, you're feeling angry, but why? Why are you angry? Something someone said to you 10 years ago, what happened this morning? The subconscious knows the truth. So when you're angry or when you have an emotion, we go through the emotion cards and there's a whole bunch. So if someone here is suffering distress or suffering, they have to convert that energy, that emotion to trust. And that's what the Big Four process does. So now what happened with this woman, and there's 10 emotions. We have 10 different ones. And I use the most popular ones in the office. And these 10 kind of cover all of them. So now we have this woman that wants to know why she can't make money. So using the Big Four process, when she picked the emotional card, this came up. Shame. Shame, change shame to pride with self. So now we have the emotional and we have the mental. So as of now, this subconscious of this woman, why she can't make money, is telling her, I feel shame. So I feel shame in making money. That's going to be the big question. But now we have to find the third aspect of the Big Four process. And the third process is physical. So what's physical mean? Well, physical is a physical body. Because a physical body, you can have a heart attack. That would be a severe car accident. They would be immediately. That has nothing to do with anything. Because if you're in a car accident, your physical body's hurt. But what about a heart attack? You know what day of the week most people have heart attacks? It's Monday. Because Monday, people say, I'd rather die than go to work. So that is a mentally, spiritual, emotional induced disease, a heart attack on Monday. So the thing is this. If we go back to emotion, what's examples of emotional problems? I hate you. What's the use? My father said I was an idiot. There are emotional blocks. So with this woman now, we found the physical block. So we have like I said, we have the mental is I feel. The emotion is shame. So now we pick the physical. Now for the physical, because every disease, according to energetics, according to even Louise Hayes, every disease, if it's not expressed, if an emotion is not expressed through the body as an emotion, it's expressed in the body as disease. So the block energy points are the meridians. So I took the 12 meridians. You have heart, large intestine. I'm not going through them all the meridians. So these meridians now are the physical. So don't forget, your subconscious knows your truth. That's your gut feeling. You know what you should do and what you shouldn't do. So when you pick out the block energy point, your subconscious is picking out. So let's take an example. And again, what now this woman here with the money, she picked small intestine. So now when you pick small intestine, you see that there's a bunch of colors here. Well, we have to find out where in the meridian is the block. She picked this color. So I knew now that she had her big four process was the mental was I feel. She felt shame, and the physical block was on the side of her head. So now we have all three. So what happens with this, when we go back to the big four process, we now know mental, I feel. The emotion is shame. The physical, small intestine. So this woman now knows why she's not making money. Almost knows why. Because now when you look at this, I asked her a very simple question. Why do you have shame in making money? And she thought about it. And I had asked her, I said, could you pull up to your father's and mother's house in a $100,000 Mercedes or a car? And she said, no. See, the problem with this woman, we'll call her Sue, was that she had shame being rich because her parents were so poor. And the funny part with Sue was that she did have a stomach problem, the small intestine. So the energy was being expressed in the small intestine. So how can the big four process solve this with her? What we did with Sue was, again, going back so you understand how this works. We have the three. Well, what's the fourth? Spiritual. The spiritual is when we pull this all together. This is when we say, okay, so this is when we do a meditation. Now, when I do a meditation after the big four process, it's not like when other people meditate. People say, well, your body will go where it's supposed to go. Don't agree with that. I don't agree with it because Einstein said that your body can never solve a problem on the same vibration was created. So now it may, but now I already know. So what I had Sue do was I had Sue go in a meditative state. She goes into meditation. I said, I want you to say to yourself, I feel pride with myself. She kept saying, I feel pride with myself. And then I had her parents in the meditation telling her, Sue, we want you to be rich. We did our best. We love you. We want you to be wealthy. Now, as Sue's doing this, as she's doing the big four process, she simultaneously is draining the physical aspect because now we know that the block is on the side of the head. So she will simultaneously say, she'll feel the shame leaving the side of her head. She'll feel it going down as warmth or whatever. So she's doing a short meditation saying, and it could be long, I'm just saying short right now. She's doing this meditation saying, I feel pride within me. My parents want me to be successful. My parents love me. They want me to be successful. I can feel the shame leaving the side of my head, being replaced by pride. And when you start doing this, and you do this for 21 days with different cards each day, you pull different cards each day, you will change who you are. I can't express any more than that because we are connecting all four. And that's when I got my doctorate, I realized that this works because in the book, I explain how people heal themselves with each aspect by itself. It's just like in one of the examples in this, I believe in the book, or in my thesis, and my thesis was, how does personal narrative affects one well-being? That was my narrative. That was my thesis. And we had two girls came home, and their father's in the backyard. And they heard his father yelling, and a tractor, a 2,000 pound, 4,000 pound tractor fell. They both lifted the tractor up, and the father got out. Now, if it was a stranger, could that have happened? Probably not, because for that moment, they needed to connect all four of these to save their father's life. That's what happens. That's when you connect all four. That's when a tumor disappears overnight. Or that's the person that smokes 4 packs a day and then one day smokes no more or is overweight. I mean, the other example I had was with a patient that was overweight, and every day she had to eat a Hershey bar. And what we found out was that growing up, her grandfather gave her a Hershey bar every day going to the school bus. At 8 years old, he died. She connected with the grandfather by eating a Hershey bar every day. So when we found her big four process in her meditation, she had her grandfather telling her, and he's been passed on for years. It has to be 50 years because she was in her 60s. At 60 years old, she found out that she was overeating because she wanted to show love to the grandfather. So when you find out what the big four is, then in that meditation, you can say, the grandfather said to her, Joan, please lose weight. I love you. I'm with you all the time. And she has it draining. She knows what the mental is. So the process of this is you go through each aspect of your problem. And the best part is you can make small changes. You can make big changes. Every 21 days, you can make a change in your life by using a new question. Now, the question could be is, whatever. Why am I overweight? Why can't I make money? Why am I so angry? And it's a process. You're peeling back an onion. You have to remember that. This is not, listen, everything works. The big four process is nothing more than a tool. It's another tool, because even I study with Tony Robbins, neurolinguistic programming. It's all tools. Everything works in life. And then chemotherapy, everything, radiation, nutrition, chiropractic, and there's no one cure all for everything, but we need to pull it together. And what I believe about this, what I love about this system now is with the big four process, we have a way to combine all four. As much as I love meditation, remember, when you pray, you talk to God. When you meditate, God talks to you. As much as I love meditation, when I started doing this type of process, and you know where to meditate, you know where, because always remember, the subconscious is your truth. Nothing else is more. This is the dreams. We are the only species, humans are the only species that can justify anything. So it's very important that you understand that you are here to create the best you can be. That's what you're here. And when you have a block someplace, and I see it all the time with patients, all these different types of blocks with family, with work. One person didn't want a promotion because, again, he didn't want to surpass his father. Another person with the cheese too. I mean, here he was allergic to cheese because he believed he was, not because he really was. And we did fix him. He's not allergic to cheese anymore. Now, you have to just go through each part of your life. What are you trying to fix? Because we all have situations. We all have situations of problems. And what's so neat about the big four process is it takes the narrative of the person, the whole person, because not just the way you feel or not just I'm sick. We find out what the subconscious cause of it is. Now, the exception is obviously if you fall down and break your leg, that's the exception. But every disease has some form of thought to it because we are thinking. If you want to think about cancer every day, you're going to think about the thought, you're going to produce the mental image, and then the mental image is going to produce hormones that will cause you to have cancer. I gave a lecture one time at a hospital, and it was I asked the woman, I asked questions, and one woman raised her hand and said, I don't believe in this, like it's some type of religion. You don't have to believe in it. I asked her, what don't you believe in? And she said, well, I'm clinically depressed. And I remember saying, I have the blood test to prove it. And I'd asked her, I said, a very simple question. When did you become depressed? She goes, well, my son was killed in a car accident 2 years ago. I said, let me ask you a question. If the day after your son was killed in the car accident, if we took your blood, would you show clinical depression? No, you wouldn't. So what came first? The act of depression, feeling depressed, which alters physical body, or did the physical body change? No, because even Wayne Dyer, he's gone with us now, but he used to talk about how if someone went behind a curtain and was going to act depressed, put your shoulders down, and you literally will change your you'll change your feelings. Tony Robbins talks about that, all neurolinguistic programming. So you got to stop thinking of why. Now, the problem is, the situation is, well, I can't stop thinking because you don't know what the core is. You don't know what is causing it. And many patients I see, it's always something that was done as a child. And then when you start to pick the cards out subconsciously, you can really start to grow with this and understand it. So it's a concept that took me years to develop, and trial and error with many patients, and it's finally mastered to a point where this can be done in-house every day, and you can start to feel a difference. And again, many times when we do this, the patient will have a tear, and that means we touch the soul, and that's what this is all about: touching the soul, making a change. Now, the reason we do it for 21 days is because it takes 21 days to break a habit. So at this point, you need to decide, what do you want in your life? And again, when I have a patient that has cancer, I'll ask the patient, do you want to get better? And I always say, answer immediately. If they take more than a couple seconds to answer, then their subconscious doesn't want to get better. So then we got to find out why. Why? I have a patient now that has a bad knee, and he's an older patient. And when we did this on him, he actually just retired. And part of the emotion behind the bad knee was he doesn't want to, he feels useless. He doesn't have no more goals and no any more goals. So this works with everything. You have to sit down and do the action to get a result. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So you have to actually sit down and do the action to do the results. So I don't know, Andrew, do you have any questions?
Well, that was a wonderful spiel you got there regarding how things work and how people have weak links and all that, and how they're going about their lives and all. And when you spoke with me at the Hamburg conference, I remember you called me up, and I had the opportunity to try to make sense of my hoarding addiction. And you said that it had to do with my parents, and which made sense because my father has OCPD, the kind of guy who believes that you gotta hoard money for future catastrophes. I don't believe in hoarding money for future catastrophes, but I do believe that you might as well buy things that you know you're going to use and make sure you don't go past the expiration date. However, I had a recent experience not that long ago where I did actually throw out a few things that I bought that I thought I was going to use, but I thought, no, I don't think I need this anymore. There's no need for this. I'm just going to chuck it, get rid of it, even though it's not going to expire in the time that I had it. I can find other ways to do it, so I choose to get rid of it. And entities appeared to be toying with my mind at the time that happened. I don't know what the battle was going on there or what, but do you have anything to say about how it is that sometimes entities toy with your mind, and then next thing you know, you find yourself throwing things away that you don't need and anymore?
Okay. Well, basically, you're peeling back the onion. Now, and again, I'll do Zoom with you to go further with that. But as you peel back the onion, you're going to have a new experience. That's why we do this for 21 days. So when you threw that away, part of you were doing. So so there's some shift going on. We are creatures of habit, and that's what's so important. And so you are peeling back the onion. And when people do all this process, they actually peel back the onion. And that's why, so we did 1 day with you there, but it would be the second day you pull out a new set of cards. So we would have to, and I'll work with you on that too. The thing is, it's interesting to see that, because when you start to peel back the onion, you become a different person. And I will tell you, some of my patients, a lot of females, after a while, they end up getting a divorce because they change so much that they no longer feel connected because they're a different person. And again, so it goes through that, that whole aspect of it. The book explains in detail everything. It explains everything. And also, well, the book's on Amazon, but I also have a website, findyourblocks.com. And I have the bundle with the
You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right, quick. Let's get this stuff out so the computer. Sorry about the computer stuff for starting and overheating.
Okay, so like I said, with the Big Four process, I have a website, findyourblocks.com. I have bundles on there, and if you purchase the cards, I'll do a Zoom with you to help you introduce it. There's a download on the website. 4 taps over, you can go 4 taps over on the bottom. There's a download you can see. But the thing is this, my goal is to help as many people as possible. I have 2 goals in life before I die. One is to leave something to mankind, and that's this Big Four process. And the second thing is I rescue cats. I've been 10 years rescuing cats. I want to leave a cat rescue. I'm going to start a one. There's no place for cats that are feral when houses are knocked down or people die. But that's my 2 goals, one for mankind and one for animal kind. And again, it's important that you have any questions, you can ask me even nutritional questions. My email's on there on the website, findyourblocks.com. And again, it's, you only have one life. This is a journey. And to start off with a journey, try to clear everything, make your life happy, because happiness comes from within. Always remember this. There's nothing missing in your life. It's only misplaced in your soul. Nothing is missing. It's only misplaced in your soul. And when you can't find it, it's because of some block, something that was said to you years ago that's just irrelevant. So we'll work with you. And again, but Andrew, how else any other questions for you, Andrew?
No, I don't have any further questions at the moment. So you have been very enlightening in the very short time that we had, and this whole thing will be free for everybody. I will have to do a few editing out and all that because of the glitches that we had and all. So I'll try to get this uploaded as soon as possible to YouTube. See what happens at my end, and see if you got the recording at your end. And all in all, this was a wonderful session. I hope to see you at a future conference. And I got your numbers, so at some point we can do one session. Thank you for being willing to do that. I very much appreciate it. So that'll be maybe on one of my days off, which will be Friday or Saturday, I think.
Okay, we'll do it. Let me know. Contact me.
All right.
I'll contact.
Take care.
Oh, thank you again. Thank you.
Awesome show.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.